Have you ever wondered, what does it take to get to the C-suite? And once you are there, what does it take to be successful? Well, if you're ambitious and one of your lifelong dreams is to get to the C-suite, then I'm going to be sharing with you 5 most important skills on how to get there and be successful. But some of us are not interested in becoming C-suite. And if that's you, then these 5 most important skills are going to help you to understand your C-suite executives, how to communicate with them, and understand more of what they do. And let's say that you're on the fence. You're not sure if C-suite is right for you, and you're not sure if you want to ascend into the C-suite, then this video will provide you with more clarification. So let's go. Skill number 1 is stakeholder engagement and collaboration. And this is, most importantly, to understand what are the expectations of my stakeholders. And of course, there are both internal and external stakeholders. But what are their expectations? Because once you understand their expectations, it's about how do I communicate their expectations to all layers of management beneath me. And sometimes the people that I'm needing to explain and to articulate their expectations, I do not directly manage, but they may be several layers of management beneath me, or dotted line management as well, across and beneath. How do I articulate those expectations? And based on my understanding of those expectations, how then do I identify risks and manage risks as well based on stakeholder expectations? And most importantly, the other element of managing stakeholder engagement and collaboration is to understand how do we drive corporate responsibility based on those expectations and report back to the stakeholders so that they are able to identify what's the progress that we're making towards our fiscal responsibilities. And more importantly, what are some potential bottlenecks, some potential challenges we might want to address. So when the sum of all these activities that I'm summarizing, the sum of all these activities is how you build a trusting community, and more importantly, how you build meaningful relationships with sustainable fair exchange. Skill number 2 is fiscal oversight. So you guessed it, it has to do with finances. Fiscal oversight is nothing more than understanding the fiscal impact on a company's goals and their projections and their targets as well. And more importantly, to understand what are the impacts of these things with respect to our fiscal profitability, and can we sustain that profitability? So your responsibility as a C-suite is to understand and analyze how are our current activities going to help our fiscal performance and the sustainability of that fiscal performance. Now, of course, depending on your specific C-level functions, you may be directly accountable for the fiscal performance of the company. And more importantly, you may be accountable for the oversight of the decisions and the activities that are finalized and how that impacts the fiscal performance of the company. And more importantly, how sustainable is that profitability? Skill number 3 is thought leadership. Now, thought leadership, there's 2 parts to it. The first part of thought leadership is to be able to raise the corporate understanding of what do people expect. And the people include customers, investors, internal and external stakeholders, higher up peers, and so on. So how do we raise the level of understanding so that we can raise the level of corporate responsibility at all levels beneath us? So that is the first part of thought leadership. Now, the second part of thought leadership is what most people think about when you think about thought leadership. And this is nothing more than having a disciplined practice of innovative thinking. So it's dedicated time set aside to thinking and innovative thinking so that you can come up with solutions, and how to also sustain the business functions, and how to have fiscal oversight, and all of the things that I shared with you earlier. So this is nothing more than the first part of having that innovative thinking, but the second part of it is making sure that how can I express my thoughts and my ideas in ways that the ideas can be understood and can be implemented, and that can be aligned with the corporate strategies and the corporate goals. Skill number 4 is measuring and reporting. One of the most important activities for the C-suite is to develop ways of measuring and reporting progress. Because now, at this point, we know where we're at, and we know where we're going in terms of fiscal oversight, in terms of company strategy and corporate goals. But now, how do we know how far we've gotten? How do we know how much farther we have to go as well? So this is where reporting and measuring is important. And it's also about how to develop ways to measure that progress, and how do we develop ways to measure a slowing or a speeding up of progress, and how do we develop those metrics in ways that drive momentum, that improve and that inspire momentum as well. If you're listening to this and you are serious about making your way into the C-suite, and you're serious about developing these skill sets for yourself, then I invite you to work with me. Below this in the description, there is a link to book a call with a member of my team, and this is to assess whether or not you're the right fit, and we're the right fit for each other for my mentorship. And inside of my mentorship, I coach and I teach and I mentor executives who desire and have that ambition to be a part of that C-suite. How do we develop these skill sets? How do we articulate our expertise? And how do we develop those business functions and integrate them into the other skills as well? So if you're serious about this, then click the link below and I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Skill number 5 is business function specific skills. Now, depending on the specific business function that you are overseeing as a C-suite, this is where the specific skill sets are required. For example, you could be Chief Ethics Officer, you could be Chief Auditing Officer, Chief Investor Relations Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, right? Or Chief Human Resources Officer, and so on. Now, depending on those specific business function, each business function has very specific skill sets to exude. And as you are exuding innovative thinking and thought leadership as well, understanding the stakeholder expectations, this all wraps up in your understanding of that business function. You're driving fiscal oversight, you are reporting and measuring, you are managing and engaging stakeholder relationships and collaborations, all of that within your specific business functions. So it all integrates together. So these are the 5 most important skill sets for C-suite, and I want to hear from you. Comment below which one is most important for you to improve and to focus on in the next months to come. Now, before we get into the C-suite, you are constantly in articulation and meetings as well, and having touch points with the C-suite. And one of the most important things to get their attention is to be able to do presentations and get buy-in in front of the C-suite. So I have a video where I have created a step-by-step process on how do you get buy-in from the C-suite executives. And that video is coming right up next. I'll see you there.